Today, our case study 2 is about Upper Big Branch mine explosions. The explosions occurred on April 5, 2010, roughly 1,000 feet equal 300 meter underground in Raleigh County, West Virginia at Massey Energy's Upper Big Branch coal mine located in Mount Cole. 29 out of 31 miners at the Zaire were killed. The coal dust explosions occurred at 3:27 p.m. The accident was the worst in the United States since 1970, when 38 miners were killed at finally called companies number 15 and 16 miners in Hayden, Kentucky. A state-funded independent investigations later found Massey Energy directly responsible for the blast. The company had truly documented pre-existing history of poor safety performance. Massey Energy Company failed to report accident data accurately. This is the history of the safety issues. What is coal dust? Coal dust is a fine form of powder produced by crushing, grinding, or by crushing coal. Because coal is fragile, so mining, transportation, or mechanical coal can be produced. Coal dust may, however, be hazardous to workers if it is suspended outside controlled grinding and combustion equipment environment in the air. This creates an acute danger of forming a mixture of air explosions and a chronic danger that causes lung disease in the person who excessively breathes it. In this case, there are two different safety culture threats. First one is NRC positive safety culture threats. Second is evidence of weak safety culture threats. For NRC positive safety culture threats, number one is personal accountability, in which all individuals take personal responsibility for safety. Effective safety communications, in which communications maintain a focus on safety. Number 3 is respectful work environment, in which trust and respect permit the organizations. For evidence of weak safety culture threats, one specific work process that the PCC or Massey leadership had in place was to illegally provide advance notice to miners of MSHA inspections. This was a flagrant violation of Sections 103A of the Federal Mine Safety and Health Act of 1977 as amended. Number 2 is when a worker told the foreman about the air reversal, air moving the opposite direction of where it should have been in order to properly vent the mine. He didn't say nothing, he just walked away. The pre-shift on-shift examination system device to identify problems and address them before they became disaster was a failure.
Application of ethical principle. First, conceptual issue. Massey Energy failure to properly maintain its ventilation system, which allow methane level to increase to dangerous amount. Second, factual issue. The company had thoroughly documented pre-existing history of poor safety performance. Massey Energy Company failed to report accident data accurately. Third, factual issue. Former Massey Energy CEO Don Blankenship was convicted in 2015 of a misdemeanor conspiring to willfully violate safety standards and was sentenced to 1 year in prison. He was found not guilty of charge of securities fraud and making false statements. Fourth, factual issue. In the workplace, that creates an acute danger of forming a mixture of air explosion and a chronic danger that causes lung disease in the person who excessively breathes it. This may harm workers' health. Fifth, moral issue. Investigation of possible personal criminal liability continues, with one former superintendent, Gary May, pleading guilty in March 2012 and confessing to conspiring to impede the MSHA enforcement efforts. 6. Factual issue. Numerous other state and federal safety standards that Massey failed to comply with were detailed in the report. 7. Conceptual issue. Investigators claim that this citation was entirely necessary given Missy failure to meet basic safety protocol and found it disturbing that the violation was not issued. 8. Conceptual issue. The failure to issue flagrant violation citation was attributed to MSHA, which also failed to notify the miners and their family that they were working in a mine which had not met minimum safety requirements. 9. Moral issue. The fire as preventable and cities and internal MSHA reviewed the following fire which found that inspectors were shocked by the deplorable condition of the mine, and that MSHA inspector had failed to enforce adequate safety measures. 10. Moral issue. The report states that Missy used its power to attempt to control West Virginia's political system. 11. Factual issue. Missy said that the miners equipped with rescue chambers stocked with first aid kit, oxygen tank, and food sufficient to support more than a dozen miners for about 4 days. They could possibly support 4 miners for longer than 96 hours only if any miner managed to reach a chamber after the blast. 12. Moral issue. Missy was strongly condemned by the report for multiple failure to meet basic safety standards outlined in Mine Act of 1977. 13. Moral issue. A company that was towering presence in the application coal fields operate its mines in a profound reckless manner, and 29 coal miners pay with their life for the corporate risk-taking. 14. Conceptual issue. The company's ventilation system did not adequately ventilate the mine, causing explosive gases to build up. 15. Moral issue. Also detailed in the report are allegations that Missy Energy threatened miners with termination if they express safety concerns. 16. Conceptual issue. Missy intentionally neglected safety precautions for the purpose of increasing profit margins according to the report. 17. Moral issue. It was claimed that the FBI had launched a probe investigating the possible bribery of federal officials overseeing mining industry regulation by Missy Energy. 18. Factual issue. Federal records show the company was fighting some of the highest fines or refusing to pay them. 19. Conceptual issue. Many of the mine's infraction prior of the explosion entail a sharp increase in coal production, and that mine officials have political connection and would be well judged in addition to discarding safety rules and overworking employees.
So, how does it happen? Worn drill bits and faulty water control on the mining machine treated a spark or ignition, a build-up of methane gas combined with the ignition triggered an explosion. This results a massive accumulation of coal dust fuel a fire that quickly spread throughout the mine. Thus, this explains the physical causes of the disaster. It's realized in Missy corporate culture that value profit over safety. By engaging in the reckless disregard of important safety protections, Missy Energy bears the responsibility for the deaths of this miner. The investigation revealed numerous safety violations, including keeping 2 sets of books and routinely providing advance notice to the miners that inspectors were on site. All part of the campaign to conceal the true working conditions underground, disabling multi-gas detectors that could have alerted miners to the accumulation of methane gas, and failing to comply with rock dusting standards that would have contained the fire before it consumed the mine. Relate to occupational safety and health. It is stated on Guidelines OSHE 1994 Section 48, which is a notice of prohibition may be issued by an officer when there is a risk of serious injury or damage to person or property at the place of work. The person in charge failed to provide an improvement or prohibition notice. A person who, without reasonable excuse, fail to comply with any improvement or prohibition notice under Section 48 shall be guilty of an offence and shall, on conviction, be liable to a fine not exceeding 50,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 50 years or 2 years, and to a further fine of 500 ringgit for each day during which the offence continues. From an ethical point of view, a virtuous person exhibits good and beneficial qualities. Massive corporates does not have the virtue ethics but have vice point, which is irresponsibility and incompetence. Virtue ethics is closely tied to a personal character and its morality. A person's good deeds symbolize his personality. Thus, it is already clear that Macy's corporate had an irresponsible point because they failed to protect the employees. They also had another vice point, which is incompetence, because they failed to provide a prohibition notice and disabling multi-gas detectors, which leads to the disaster. Thank you for watching.